If you think about all of our relationships we have, let's get really practical what this looks like. As a parent, you go to your son's or your daughter's performance, football game, baseball game, ballet, recital, whatever it is. You go and you what does it feel like when you see them perform? You know they've practiced hard. You know they're up there performing. The feeling you feel when you see them do something is joy. It's this transferred feeling of accomplishment and joy. And as a parent, you being present in that moment to share in the joy with your child feels joy. And you're sharing in the same joy because you have the role. That's a role that you have. Now with this is where it gets into the kingdom and making those choices of the kingdom of the world pulling you this way and the kingdom of heaven pulling you this way. Because you have choices to make what you do with your life. Are you going to choose I'm going to be a good steward with little so I can get more? Kingdom of the world? Or are you going to choose, I'm going to be present with my family. I'm going to be present in my children's lives. I'm going to be present and participate in the joy with my child. And then guess what? Your Father is participating in that joy with you as well. So what job do you take? Do you take the one that pays the most money? Or do you take the one that allows you to be present? Because guess what? The job that you do, 100, if not 1,000, if not 10,000, if not 1,000,000 other people can do your job. There is not one other person on earth that can be a mother or father to your child. You can't outsource parenthood. And if you think about the roles and relationships we have with each other, no one can replace you as a best friend, as a neighbor, a unique relationship, a parent, a child. There's a way for children to live in a way that's stewarding that talent of being a child, a son or a daughter, no matter what your age. It's one of the big 10 commandments that we honor our father and mother. There's a way to do that. And when we do that, we share in the joy of the master. And the beauty of the reciprocity is that when you honor your father and mother, they share in the joy. God shares in the joy. And this is the way of the Lord. So let's expand our perception of what stewardship is. To include the roles that we play in each other's lives. Everything from neighbor, friend, supervisor, employee, husband, wife, son, daughter, grandparent, pastor, villager. How do you steward that? You're part of a church. I don't know if all of you call yourself part of this church. We leave that up to you. You decide if you're part of this church. If you are, you steward that. You steward relationship with one another. What does that mean? It means you go out of your comfort zone and you invite someone over for dinner or lunch. Or you save up money so you can take someone out to lunch. Or you decide you're going to share a gift card with someone and go get coffee together. But you invest in each other. You invest in relationships. You care for one another. You're stewarding this relationship of being part of a spiritual community. That's the most important thing of a church. It's not the preaching, it's not the music, it's you loving one another. That's the most important thing. And when you steward that, we see a community that is on mission together and celebrating together and engaged in each other's life. That's the invitation. And I believe that, I know that we as a staff, we want that for us. We want us to be connected and engaged and encouraging each other and praying for one another. And so that's why we gather. That's why we work hard to prepare. We try to make all the awkward barriers go away. And then sometimes we put intentional awkward barriers so we can grow, like mingle time. For some of you, that's terrifying. But it's the joy. And I tell you what, when we love one another, imagine what the Father does. Because I love my kids. I love all of my kids. And one of my favorite things in the world is to see them loving one another. It is. It's so satisfying. And if your kids are young or teenagers, listen to me. It really does happen. As they get older, it really does happen. There's a season where it doesn't happen, but they get there. And they love one another, and they care for each other. And boy, I say this all the time, but I, as a dad, or as a person, I guess, I just love to see the people I love the people I love. Like there is this joy inside of me when that happens. And I'm just observing it. And that's the way God is with us. When he sees us stewarding our roles in each other's lives in a way that honors him, in a way that respects each other, the way that prioritizes each other's needs. Let's look at Ephesians 5 and one of the most representative relationships that we have on earth that models the relationship between Christ and his church, and that's marriage. What makes Ephesians 5 such a beautiful exposition and metaphor of God's relationship with us through Jesus and us as his people, what makes that and marriage a perfect overlay is the thing that holds it all together, and that is the covenant. This is a covenant relationship, a relationship that's rooted in an eternal promise that is stronger than either one of the promise holders. That bond of covenant exists. It exists outside of you, it exists outside of how you're feeling, right? Heather and I have been married for 30 years, and there's these moments of marriage where it's so full of joy and so full of peace, and then there's these moments of conflict and frustration, and the feeling of commitment and covenant isn't there. Like the feeling of affection and love is so far gone, you wonder where it ever was, and then you fall in love again, and you fall in love again. And the only reason that happens is because there's this foundation of covenant that says, I promise that no matter what, I love how Tim Keller says it, I'm making an appointment with you to be your faithful husband year after year after year. And in that promise of covenant, you fall in love again over and over and over again.